Hey guys, so if you're wondering if you need weed fabric in your beds, whether you're putting in a new bed or if you have an existing one, there are a couple things to know about the weed fabric first. And one, it does do a good job in the beginning of keeping weeds and grass out of your beds, but over time, there's weeds will germinate on top because what you get is organic material will end up forming, whether it's mulch or river rock, whatever you have on top of this will end up forming and basically creates a seed bed. So that organic matter will break down and you've got a really nutrient rich seed bed for seeds to germinate right on top of this. The other thing is that this lets water and air through. So if water can get through, certain types of weeds will get through eventually. Some of your grasses, some of your little oak tree saplings are coming in. So this is a good, what I consider a short-term solution. Long-term, it is not going to help you. But if you're putting this down where you have a lot of river rock or something like that, it is a great option. You wouldn't use this type of material right here. This is pretty thin. You'll find this just about everywhere. And it's good if you're having a lot of plants to put in because it is easy to cut through. Some of the thicker varieties, so something like this is what we would use. We use this for the plants. It is thicker, it does last a little bit longer. If we're doing river rock, there's even a thicker material that we'll use and it'll last a whole lot longer. But so if you're trying to figure out if you need it, just know it's not going to work long term. You will get weeds to grow after a year or two. They'll start germinating on top of this anyways. But if you are putting it in, there are a couple things to look at. One is, the material that you're using, and also when you anchor it down, this right here, it goes by a couple names, whether it's weed fabric staple or sod staple, and this is even used for drip tubing. This will hold down drip tubing in your beds, but you'll need these, and they'll go all throughout this to hold it down. So that's a couple things about weed fabric. If you have existing turf, especially Bermuda, in the area where you're putting a new bed, it's always a good idea to put this down because that grass will get into that bed almost immediately and start causing problems. And so you want to get that in there, and that'll buy you some time to kind of keep that grass out. Just know in the future, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, you will probably be pulling this up and replacing it, or just pulling it up and replacing your ground cover. So if you have like a high shade area underneath a large oak tree or something, you may not need anything under there, just your ground cover, whether it's mulch or river rock or decomposed granite. Your weed pressure is not very high, so you're not going to get a lot growing in there, so you could probably just hand pull what may come up and control it that way. And that way you don't have to deal with this in the long term and spend the money on it. So if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments below and we can get it answered. Hopefully this helps you out a little bit. Thanks a lot.